because they are selling tapes. That sold 5 million copies without any radio play. We want to see what's behind this. That's how all the newscasters sounded. That kind of sounds like me, huh? Damn, I didn't have to change my voice that much. My damn nasally ass annoying voice. Screw you anyway. But anybody out there who agreed with me, by the way. But NWA, man, they were, and look, I got Eazy right behind me. One of my favorites. NWA was the reason I fell in love with hip-hop. Hearing Eazy-E's voice on Boys in the Hood, I was like, okay, I need more of this. Hearing those beats that Dre and Yellow were putting together. Hearing Ice Cube. I said I needed more of this. And after that, I was all in. And it's very ironic that the first group that made me fall in love with hip-hop, literally NWA, is a group that now I wouldn't even agree with their name. So I can only imagine how 40-year-olds were feeling back then hearing NWA, especially 40-year-old black folks. Could you imagine that? First time I ever heard what NWA stood for was from a Mexican dude, Latino. I asked him, I said, he had an NWA hat on. I hadn't put two and two together that Eazy-E, NWA. So I was, what does NWA mean? Or I don't know where we saw NWA. Maybe it was on a tape or something. I think he was wearing a hat. Could be wrong. But I said, what does NWA stand for? He said, niggas with attitude. I said, okay. And it was nothing. It was like, then we talked about going and get some fries at the burger stand right after that. There was no racism or anything behind it. It was just, I asked him a question. He gave me an answer. He probably didn't even know what niggas meant. He probably, now looking back, I bet he didn't even know what niggas meant. Because at that time, I was living in a mostly Hispanic, predominantly Mexican neighborhood. No one was dropping the M-bomb. Maybe the parents. No, they would call us out there, little black bug. Well, they wouldn't say it to my face, but yeah, I'm sure I was called that quite a few times living in some of the neighborhoods that I lived in by very certain people. That's the other funny part, man. I'm not going to use the word grew up. I lived in a predominantly Hispanic area for some very significant years of my life. I mean, middle school, that's pretty significant, right? End of elementary, right into middle school, and end of middle school, almost going into high school. I lived in a Hispanic neighborhood, Bell Gardens, city of Bell Gardens, a city that is near and dear to my heart to this day. I still visit Bell Gardens. My favorite burrito joint is in Bell Gardens, so I always go there. Shout out to Los